storyteller, Dr. LaShay Harvey.
On this day in 1865, some white boys made their way to Galveston, Texas to read the General Order Number 3, proclaiming the good news of the Emancipation Proclamation to the black folks there. And it said, "You are free from your master. But for the record, you are now a hired slave. You are to sit quietly in your present house and work for wages. You are not allowed to collect at the military posts, and you won't be supported in your idleness, either here or anywhere." Let me tell you what I know. There was a black woman in the square that day. She was probably me in a past life. Her name was probably something like Odessa. Odessa sat there listening to that so-called freedom speech, and she saw right through that mess. She heard those parts about being free from your master, but she also heard those caveats of what it is where she had to stay in her present house, what it is she had to do, work for wages, and where it is she couldn't go, to the military post. And let's be clear, that's where the fine and free Negroes probably were. And she also heard that she wouldn't be supported in any pursuit of her own sanity. Because you see, that makes her idle, along with every other black woman. And idleness is not supported, either here or anywhere. What Odessa heard that day in the square is very similar to the way in which I have experienced or learned about romantic and intimate relationships, especially marriage. You see, they always begin with this promise of freedom, that you can show up as you are. And then before you know it, booyah, some bullshit caveats show up. A long list of where you can't go, and what you got to do, and how you must show up in the world. It's as if the concepts of relationships and freedom don't go together. Erykah Badu said something once. She said, "You don't have to believe what you think." I don't have to believe what I think. What a novel concept! What a scary-ass concept! Because here's what I used to believe about marriage. Marriage for black women has always been a big part of this, part of the ultimate platinum freedom package that you could purchase cash, check, or charge. And while on this all-expense-paid excursion, I get stability in the form of housing stipends, because surely this man of God is blessed and highly favored with assets. There would be beautiful, happy black babies born from all the amazing sex we're having on the regular. There would be international vacations every year. We would host our family and our friends at our home for Kwanzaa, and there would be a wall of family portraits that we all took at Olin Mills. Everything Whitley Gilbert could have ever dreamed of. And marriage, you see, also keeps you from becoming, whether intentionally or accidentally, a whore. You see, marriage upgrades you up and out of your idleness. It reminds you that the ring that was purchased on your behalf has to be paid off now. It reminds you that your primary jobs are to sit quietly in this house and don't go seeking no pleasure outside of here. You see, I know this all because black girls know a lot about the world. and what the world says about them. Black girls understand patterns. And for those of us who have known molestation and rape, we understand that the world says we are ruined. We are destined to have a lot of babies and a lot of baby daddies. And the one that I heard the loudest was that ultimately we would become a whore. And it would be our own fault. It would be our idleness. And you see, whores are not supported in their idleness, either here or anywhere. So I began as a young girl to organize my life so that I would be everything but a whore. I'd be the opposite. I'd be a lady. I'd be a good girl. I invested in the ideas of doing it right. Surely you know, becoming educated, not having no babies while I was in school, and finding the most beautiful black man who knows the Lord and loves his mom. And that black man would find me and he would ask me to be his wife with a diamond the size of a skating ring. And I'd marry him in an exquisite wedding. He'd be there crying as I walked down the aisle. He would love and care for me unconditionally. I prized marriage and monogamous relationships as any good girl would. And just like that, marriage became currency, particularly in my friend circle. You see, I met this one sister friend, beautiful sister friend. We've known each other for 20 years. She remembers me when I was relaxed and approved. But the short of the story is this. I had a boyfriend that everyone loved. Why? Because he was going to be the most perfect husband, you see. And he and I had broken up. During that off season, I decided I would take a lover. Actually 3. Not all at the same time, but you see. And actually, though, me telling you that I didn't take all of those lovers at the same time is really an effort for me to remind you that I'm not going to be no what? Filthy whore. Because that's what whores do. Anyway, I had a delicious time learning women myself. And then my ex decided that he wanted me back. He wanted me to once again believe in the promises of marriage, love. And so my beloved sister friend, in all of her infinite 23-year-old wisdom, she said to me, she said, Harvey, listen, you done had you a good time with your lovers, okay? When you get in this relationship, it's not going to be all that wall climbing stuff you've been doing. It's going to be real basic most days. And all I could think while she was saying that is, you's a motherfucking lie. I don't want no basic ass marriage now. I heard my sister friend say what Odessa Hurt said that day in the square. You are free from your master, but you are a hired slave now. And your jobs are to sit in this house with little personality. And don't be out here desiring no freedom. Because marriage is your freedom. You see, marriage will feed and sustain you and give you every good thing you've ever asked for. Surely not. And yet, she was reminding me of the contract. You see, the contract of the good girl. The good girl that gets the good boy to see her and marry her. So my sister friend wasn't the only one. Marriage was everywhere and all up and through my life and my family. But you see, I've never been her. I've I've never enjoyed trying to be her. I've never enjoyed pretending to be the good girl in hopes that the good boy will come and see me and love me and free me. Truly, I was reminded in those moments that my job actually was to move forward. But see, there's a clean understanding here. Is that, for me, the ways in which we understood black masculinity surely are not conditioned to see me in my particular form of freedom. Not in this life. So surely you know all of the remedies that all of the people had for me. Well, Shay, seeing how you're getting old and everything, maybe you should consider getting yourself a white boy. A white boy? I need bigness for all that I'm here to do in this life. I need a lot of room to do that. But why do I need to get a white boy to then have room with for that bigness? Well, Shay, seeing how you're getting old and everything, there are so many ways you can have a baby these days. Yes, but again, I'm not interested in no white boy playing up in my womb creating life. I want to make my babies for free and that old saucy love, you know? And I'm not old either, so stop that shit. While we're on the topic of babies, to the Chinese radiologist who said to me, rather asked me, just the other week, while she was looking at my womb and counting up all of the fibroids that are taking up so much space, she asked me, well, did you consider having babies when you were younger? To you, ma'am, I resent your fucking question. Because I've been thinking about having babies since I was 12 years old, as any good girl would. I resent your question because I resent you insinuating that I have failed at being that particular type of good girl. Because I yet to have a husband and babies and am damn near 40. So I've taken to analyzing and reviewing my life and identifying those things that have been missing, trying to figure out what then it is I need. And what I've realized is that I need a man with some big dick energy. You hear what I'm saying? I need a man who is confident and understands that when he writes the check, the money's already in the bank. I need him to understand that he can walk with me and all that I am because he can walk with himself and all that he is. That has also led me down this other rabbit hole of asking myself questions. Well, hell, how would you even recognize big dick energy, Shay? How would you be with it? More specifically, where does it end? But that led to, of course, yet another question. What if I had big dick energy? Jesus, this shit ain't gonna work, Jesus. Because what if my big energy and his big energy just... Beyond that, what if there isn't just one husband? What if there are many? Consider Erica by doing that finest wine Andre 3000. I mean, really consider Erica by doing all her fine ass baby daddies, really. They connected and created the ultimate art form, which is life. They learned the lessons they were supposed to from one another, and then they released each other. They didn't confine themselves to this place called forever. But this isn't about me recreating my life to look like anyone else's, Erykah Badu's or even Queen Nzinga's. However, Queen Nzinga's harem of 50 beautiful black men does sound like a beautiful birthday present to me. This is about me realizing that the particular strain of freedom written on my DNA has been inviting me to see my life as my own, has been inviting me to release those old and stale ideas and timelines that I've held about myself and the world. And so on this day in 2021, I affirm that I must live the life that I said yes to when I rode that light beam into this world in 1982. And that may or may not come with a husband and babies. I affirm that I give thanks for all of the lovers who have come into my life in the past and hopefully will show up in the future. I thank you for all of the lessons that you have taught me, because honestly, no one else could have taught me those lessons but you. And I vow to release you when it is time, but to do it with grace. And I affirm that living a life that looks like no one's around me is a scary-ass situation. But the cost of not living my life is one that is too high to pay. And that's why I believe when Odessa was in that square listening to that so-called proclamation in 1865, when she left there, she went to that house. She packed her bag, and she got the hell up out of Dodge. She probably went to that military post, okay, where the free and the fine Negroes were. Because you see, I know as she does, that my relationship with my freedom, which is ultimately my relationship with my God, needs a lot of space. And it sure as hell don't come with no caveats about being no good girl. I should.